Welcome to Pro Talks. My name's Gail Washington, and I hope you're having a great Tuesday. And thanks for tuning in. And today we're going to talk about year end. We're talking about preparing for the year end. And last week we talked about year end for following up on employees. What's some things in a checklist that you should be doing? And so this week we're going to be talking about year end reminders, just simple reminders. And we should have a checklist of things that we need to do for the year end that we should be trying to put in place now, not December 29th. And so, anyway, I wanted to go over, and I hope this will be a help to you, some just tips and things that I've done checklists on that really help, especially in the financial area of churches, small business, nonprofits. But anyway, year-end reminders. The very first thing is donors, contribution statements. Everybody panics over contribution statements. But let me tell you, donors are responsible for obtaining a written charitable contribution statement before they file their taxes. Anything 250 and above that they've donated, they have to have that before they file their taxes. You know, a lot of people think, oh, it's just a contribution statement, no big deal, those kind of things. Well, we want to make sure that we get their contribution statements out on time. It's a good idea to kind of spot check it now and on your checklist just to scan and go through and make sure that people's giving records, something doesn't stand out. After you've done this for many years, and I know new members and things, sometimes it's hard to check. But if you can scroll through those contribution statements, you can see in case there is an amount that's off. Now, if you've reconciled and done things in your books and your giving, you should be okay. The biggest thing you're looking for is maybe a contribution that went to a wrong donor's name or something like that. So, but the very first thing you want to do is make sure you have your contribution statements out by January 31st. Let your members and donors know, whether you're a nonprofit or a church, that they have to have those statements and go from that statement. Keep that on file. It's not for the church to keep on file, although you will keep them, but they have a responsibility to keep them in with their taxes and their backup paperwork every year. And so you want to make sure that you get that out, and you want to make sure they don't file their taxes before they've gotten that statement, because you want that to match. And so make sure your donors and your members know that. That's year-end reminder number one that gets overlooked so many times. And make sure that they have them in hand by the 31st, not just mailing them on the 31st. Maybe mail them the 20th so they have them by the 31st is what you want to do. Sometimes you can do streamlining too, where they can actually go online and go to their portal and see their contribution statement if you're not mailing them. That's a great way to do it. And make sure that your contribution statements are correct. Make sure that you have your name, your disclosure, all of those things on there. And if you need some samples of that, just let us know. But we do have samples of contribution letters. Sending an advance giving statement in December, just to let people know their giving statement, have them check it over. And you can also promote giving. Someone may get a statement, maybe through, the ideal thing is to have an online portal and then receive it through email. A lot less expensive, more efficient, and people have it right at their fingertips, because people are in a generous mood at the end of the year. Maybe they want to give a little bit more, so they have a bigger tax write-off, those kind of things. But it does promote giving. That's a good way. Maybe you've got a Christmas project at your church, or maybe you're a project of your nonprofit that you're doing. And so doing it early and having them spot check it is not a bad idea. And sometimes it can result into big donations by the end of the year. Just a little tidbit. So, number one, we want contribution statements on time. We want them by January 31st. Maybe send an advance contribution statement so that they can check and make sure everything is accurate with them, and it can promote giving to your project or something that you're doing with your nonprofit or church that year, and make it easy for them to give. Next, donors must give contribution checks by December 31st to be included in the church's 2019 contribution statement. So let me explain this. You want to make sure that everybody's contributions are logged and posted by the 31st. Now you can backdate on that far as the system's concerned, but let me tell you, if they give a check through the offering plate and backdate it, and you received it on January 2nd, according to IRS guidelines, it is not eligible for the 2019 giving record. But if they do send it through the mail and it's postmarked before the 31st of December, that would be included in the 2019, and you can add that to your contribution statement. So make sure that you've got that. So if it's given in the offering plate and it's backdated, the check is, it should not go toward 2019 contributions if it is in the 2020 year or vice versa. I'm just giving that as an example. So make sure you have a checklist on that to make sure you're set and ready. The next point I wanted to bring out was staff gifts. This is a time of year that we're generous. We want to appreciate our volunteers. We want to appreciate our staff. So we've got staff and volunteer gifts like Christmas gifts. There is some rules and regulations on gifts given to volunteers and staff. Staff less than $25 in value in cash, you can just give them freely. If you give more than that, then you need to consult with your CPA for your tax reasons on this, but the IRS code says that you have to include that in their compensation, in their box number 1 on their W-2. So for instance, if you give your pastor a big Christmas gift of $1,500 for Christmas so he can have a nice Christmas, that has to go on his W-2. So that's one of the rules with the IRS. So you have to be really careful with that. And if you have a volunteer that you're giving something cash to, then, or gift cards, by the way, that includes cash or gift cards, anything like that, then you have to make sure if it's $600 or more that you 1099 them and as a subcontractor, and you mail that, and those need to be out by January 31st as well. So think about the gifts. One of the reminders is the gifts. Plan ahead. What are you going to do? Some people give like food, like they might give a really nice turkey, or they might give a fruit cake, or they might give something, that's materialistic that's bought, but it's not a gift card or cash. That is not a taxable event for that individual. But if it is a gift card and cash and it's over $25, then it is a taxable event for an employee. And for a 1099, it's over $600. That would be a taxable event. So make sure that you put that on your checklist as well. Another thing that we think of, reimbursements. The IRS really does not like reimbursements. I try to tell people to try to not do reimbursements if you can. In other words, instead of reimbursing for gas allowance and things like that the pastor or maybe the youth pastor put on their charge card and they get reimbursed, get a charge card. We can help you with a prepaid charge card that you can actually function from your desktop. It's wonderful. And so you can allocate budgets on that, those kind of things. Reimbursements are frowned on. They're kind of like a little red flag to the IRS. Now, they're not all illegal, and you can do, but you have to have an accounting reimbursement policy in place, and you have to have a certain system and a certain process. But if you are, and you do have that, this is the reminder, is to make sure that all receipts and reimbursements are done by the end of the year, before the following next year. So if someone had a reimbursement, you would want to make sure you reimburse them before or by December 31st of 2020, not reimburse them for 2020 and 2021. So make sure that you do that. That's very, very important. By the way, you have to have a backup receipt for that reimbursement. Contact us. We can show you how to set it up. We partner with PexCard, and that's who we use. But if you contact us, we can help you see how you can streamline all of that, and all of these huge credit cards and reimbursements can go away. And that's what you want to work toward. And one note to think about, if you do not reimburse that minister or pastor in the same fiscal year, then it should, unto law, go into as compensation. So you don't want to do that. You would have to add that to their W-2 as compensation. Even though they didn't get, if they got cash for that, you'd have to run it through payroll. That's the law. So make sure you keep that reimbursements within the same year. And personally, I think you should try to eliminate any reimbursements. You can do that. We can help you do that. Give us a call, 865-272-6550, and we'll help you get set up with that. And very easy. And let me tell you, it will eliminate the credit card headache. Okay? And the last thing is update and review and adopt policies and procedures. So now's the time for you to be reminded to update your policies and procedures. You should have a benevolence. You should have a bookkeeping practice or accounting policy. You should have an internal audit checklist, like what you do, like a checklist of what you go through that you do with audit. You should have a travel policy and probably many more. Staff policies, nursery policies, all of those kind of things. Nobody likes sitting down creating policies, or I don't. And if you have a person like that on your staff, well, God bless you, because most people don't like that. But I'm just telling you, you need to review those, make sure they're up to date, fine tune them, because it's very, very important that you have all of those in place. So I hope this has been helpful to you. As a recap, we want to make sure we've got contribution statements. We want to make sure on staff giving or other gifts that we're giving to volunteers for the end of the year. And we also wanted about account reimbursements to ministers and employees, and make sure those are taken care of in the same year. Also, we want to make sure we're updating our policies. So I hope that was a help to you today. And until next week, I hope you have a good one. And thanks for joining Pro Talks.